probably gonna call your phone.
Yeah, I think she'll call mine.
I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. Michelle will call in. Chad is absent. We will start the meeting at the flag, so.
Hello?
Hi, Michelle.
Here.
We're just
Welcome.
starting. Just did the flag
Okay.
song.
I'd like to welcome you all here and wish you a happy new year. There are no one that signed up for public comments, so we will just go on with adopting the agenda.
Move.
Moved by Melissa. Second by Linda. All in favor?
Yes.
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 5-0. Reports and presentations. We will start with the superintendent's report.
So I have invited Dan, who's been working with us on the goal committee for, this is the second year now, to give us an update on where we're at and the progress we've made and where we need to go. So thank you for coming down, Dan.
Of course. Thanks for having me. My name is Dan Henry. I have always been a large proponent of data and evidence when we are making decisions in education. I've been doing data retreats for quite a few years now, and what I found out is that sometimes when I show up and do a data retreat, we develop an action plan, and then when I show up the next year, I ask them, how did it go? Were we able to address those things we said? And I find often they haven't looked at the document since I left the year before. So this is the standard model of data analysis. Let's take a forensic look at what occurred last year, and let's move on from there. So I was really pleased that Carol had invited me to participate in this project with Todd County, where we are in real time continually meeting with these district level goal teams and evaluating what progress has been made, what they are working on, and reflecting on this every month all throughout the year. The hope being is that if we're explicit about what we're attempting to do and how we're attempting to do it, this may pay dividends for student learning, improving student outcomes across the board. I have a few things I want to share with you guys and a few artifacts I want to make sure that you're aware of. But this is basically, I think, Carol, you said I have about 10 minutes, and I know you guys are all very busy, so I'm going to make this as brief as possible. I don't want to talk much about data for everybody. It's probably instantly put everyone to sleep. What I want to do is review the premise, why we're here, why we began this work. I want to review some of the goals and some of the research that goes along with it. I'd like to review the report. We just did this mid-year reflection, and then wrap up with questions you guys might have about this process, what has occurred, What evidence are we gathering about the impact of this particular movement? So this is my image. I actually kicked off this work, was it this time last year?
Might have been a little earlier.
A little earlier, okay. And this is a standard data retrieval model. This ends up being an extraneous, potentially tangential paper collection process. These don't help us understand what we're trying to do about improving student outcomes. The other thing I would say is that it's not enough to just, how do I say, make it through the day or the week or the year. What we're looking for is seeing if we can do the best we possibly can for our students. And so being proactive and being reflective on what steps we're taking and what impact those steps have, I think is critical to this process. So I wanted to share some research. I'll go through this very quickly. Anyone familiar with John Hattie? He's a heavy duty. He gets a little bit academic, I think a little bit of TMI, but he distills a large volume of research that helps us understand exactly what the benefit of these things might be. He breaks things down into what he calls effect size, and what we know is at a 0.4 marker, that orange line right here, can you guys see that? This little line right here is about what we would gauge about a full year of progress in a K-12 program. So keep that 0.4 in mind as I share with you guys some research. So we split up into goals. We have our goal 1 team. We're talking about family, community, and agency partnerships. And we're wondering about the impacts of different things. Is this backed up in research science? So we do see some major potential impacts when we're talking about parental expectation, parental involvement, and different parental programs. So the point of me sharing this was that the goals that you guys, was it the board that set these goals? Mm-hmm. So these goals are aligned with directly research-based, which is critical, and connected to improving student outcomes. So you guys are on the right track here. We move on to goal 2. We're talking about academic growth and competency in the four core areas. All of these elements here that I'm indicating on this slide are all research-based, and some of these are paying major dividends in student outcomes. 1.09 is over 2 full years of growth. What we see is after a certain amount of time, kids are behind on their learning. And the question is, how do we address that? How do we improve this learning gap? And I think these goals and making sure that we're seeing these goals through is going to be critical to addressing these learning gaps. So here's my goal 3 team, social emotional learning. There's a ton of stuff here aligned to improving student outcomes. We also have my goal 4 team, the understanding of the Ochetti-Chacoin. That's positive ethnicity, self-identity, is 0.12. And then finally, the Wolakota skills. Again, positive self-concept and well-being. All of these things, taken as a whole, have the potential to improve student outcomes. And so basically, my work is, we're not friends, like, we're not, but so I am the guy who says, have you met? Have you?
Hey, goal 2 has met.
They're
good at meeting.
Have you done what we said we were going to do?
They're doing what they say they're
well
doing.
Well played, Melissa. Well played. So,
and actually, we meet on the 25th.
I love it. So I think that was Carol's motivation. So Carol is, I think, this is how I pictured it. She has to maintain relationships with all her administrators. She has to be their supporter. She has to be their boss. But she also can say, Dan, you make sure that they are focused on these outcomes and they're working to pursue them. So at the end of the day, if I did a report and I shared it and said, I've never seen Melissa at one of my meetings.
I seen ya.
Melissa would say, Dan, that's actually incorrect. I was there. But, so, does that make sense, Melissa?
Yes, that does.
I have to be I can't always be the good guy. I have to say.
Be the bad guy too.
I have to be the bad guy too. These are the people that have showed up when I make this report. It's not personal. We're not friends. I don't know people that well. However, I can tell you empirically who was here, who participated, and who met the objectives that they have set for themselves quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. That being said, I mean, I don't have any, no, Dan gave me a negative rating for not making all my, no one cares. But at least you understand that this was the expectation, this is what we were going for. So I want to share with you guys I know, did I already hit my 10-minute mark? I feel like.
No.
I want to share with you guys all of the action plans that were developed. These may not be, so here's what I've recognized happened. Some teams took the ball and they ran with it. Are you guys okay with that expression? So when we had initially made this plan, they said, all right, that's great, but let's meet again, let's modify this, let's add things. I cannot guarantee that I have the latest iteration of their plan. Like I said, Melissa, some teams are really getting busy on a regular basis. So keep that in mind if you're looking. I may not have printed the last one. So here's my goal 5, World Lakota, and I'll just pass these around. If you could take one and then just keep it moving. Thank you very much. And then here's my goal 4. We'll just go the other direction. This is my cultural plan. Carol, you may not need one. Here's my social emotional team. This is what we're going to work on this year. These are the things that they want to accomplish, things that they are seeking to achieve. Again, all of these things, they align directly to research-based elements tied to improving student outcomes. Okay, I'm going to send one more your way. This is goal 2, academics. And this is goal 1, partnerships. Did I miss a goal?
3.
It's only 2 things.
3's not here.
Did I skip a print? Dang it, Daniel. I will,
Here's 2.
yeah. I was like, is this?
5.
1 second. Let
Is
me
there
2
one?
2s.
2, 4, 5.
Oh, here's 1.
No, I may have missed 3.
3, yeah.
So that was an oversight on my part.
I didn't get a 1.
She's got 1.
The social emotional element is absolutely critical, as the research indicates. But all of these I have available digitally. I just wanted to print these out so you guys can see them. These are the things that these teams, if I did print out the latest iteration, and like I said, some teams have taken the ball and ran with it. These are the things that they're seeking to accomplish, and we are going to review these goals in our next our brand new 2023 set of meetings, and determine if these are the directions we want to continue in, if we want to make any modifications or edits, so on and so forth. I have one more document I want to share with you guys. I did a reflection with all of the team members. This is kind of an overview of where teams are at, how things are going, if you had any personal complaints about Dan Henry, this is your time to vent. So this report has some interesting information. I'd like to point out that very top chart. I believe, Carol can correct me if I'm wrong, these are the teams that responded to this survey. So we've got 3 on the partnership team, 3 responses on the academic team, and 2 on the social emotional team. We've got 3 on the cultural team, and then 3 again on the World Lakota team. I believe one of the side goals of this was to have everybody active and participating, kind of as a way to develop an interest and a motivation. This is the goal that all of the leadership believes in pursuing, and we picture everyone actively participating towards seeing these processes through. Because we know that they do pay dividends in student learning. So the issue is that some of these teams actually I think have 5 members, others have 4, and these are my respondent numbers. So that first question, how many Todd County School District meetings have you attended? This is a loose question. Let me explain why. Sometimes the weather has a different plan for us getting together and having a meeting. As you guys well know, as I saw as I was driving through town, I cannot believe how much snow you guys got. So keep that in mind. We can't always make all of the meetings, but it's very easy to get caught up with via email. Every team member should get an invite to every meeting, and we go from there. If you turn to the next page, I asked the teams, rate your level of agreement with this statement. My team is actively meeting and working towards achieving our respective district goals. Keep in mind, this, I don't know, when did that storm hit for you guys? Was it right around Christmas?
Right before.
Right before.
Right before? Okay.
The 13th.
So this is, I think, maybe this is early December that this went out. So not every team has been able to meet as frequently or as regularly. But this helps me understand which team may need additional support as we move forward. Do we need to reevaluate the goals we set? Do we need to talk about changing expectations and responsibilities over the next couple quarters before the end of the school year? The next section is rate your level of agreement with this statement. My team will achieve the district level goals we have set for ourselves. Melissa, you may remember the very first meeting this school year, the beginning of the school year, teams had a chance to sit down and say, what are we realistically going to do to address these goals? These goals are massive and research-based. So what you see is some teams, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, Team 1 partnership, they may need additional support from me and additional support from the powers, the leadership of Todd County to make sure that we're addressing these goals, we're working toward it. That last page is so I asked 2 more questions. Let me explain. These are open-ended text questions. I said, you guys, what would you consider to be the greatest assets of your Todd County goal team? So this, I want to help you understand this chart. So the larger the circle, the more that word was used in a response set. Are you guys okay with that? So like small circle, only one person said it. Larger circle, a few people said it. So you can kind of see the gist of where people are at. These are all of my responding Todd County School District goal teams. I said, you guys, what are the assets? What are the positive things we're bringing to the table here? And so there's a really good array here. Team member experience, alignment with job role, expertise, problem solving, listening. So I know this is going to maybe be TMI, but there's another data point on each of these circles. Do you see how some of them have like a light blue circle around it and others are dark blue? So the software that I use tells me the extent of, is it very positive, or is it slightly positive, or is it kind of neutral, or is it
Negative.
So a lot of these comments, the dark blue line is, I think, very positive. So take it with a grain of salt, because the software, the question is worded, talk to me about your strengths. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The next question, I'm not asking about your strengths, I'm saying, what are some potential barriers to your team achieving the goals that you've set up for yourself? And as you can see, we do have some critical comments. Some of these critical comments are like, Dan, I'm going to need more support in this. Some of these critical comments are like, Dan, can you make more hours in the day? So keep that in mind as you're looking at this. Again, the reverse of the blue circles. The red circles have the light red, which is a slightly negative, and then the dark red, which is a fairly, how do I say, strongly worded critique. I'd like to see more done. This is my complaint about this particular thing. So I wanted to make sure my board members were in the know about who I am, why I'm here, and what my eventual outcomes I'd like to get done before the end of the school year. I would say this, all of those districts that I do data retreats on, I think they're going to start a similar process where my data retreat ends up being extended, and I would even zoom in with the team and say, can we talk about how you decided to address this idea of bullying that was all over your all over your data sheet. All the teachers agree this is something, administrators agree. Bullying is just a sample. I didn't have any data for Todd County related to bullying. But I think that is going to be, I've already see it started in Wyoming. I think it's going to be part of the process moving forward where someone is going to track how we are working towards addressing these goals. At a minimum, you end up with this understanding about who is showing up, who's participating, but also who is not just surviving, who is actually taking it to the next level. Without having judgment on anybody, it often is a time thing, it's often a schedule thing. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, a lot of variables. But having me oversee it, we can avoid stepping on toes. We could understand exactly how each team is working towards addressing these goals. That's it. That's all I have for you guys this evening. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't at this
I don't
time.
have any.
If you're wondering about why the paper is so big, we have a copy machine that prints, is it 11 by 14 or something? Anyway, I love it, and it makes it a little bit more legible.
I liked it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, yeah.
I liked it.
I still, at my age, I'm having a hard time reading these. The words ended up still being very tiny on that last report, but I think you get a gist of it. I need a magnifying glass at any kind of range, but the size of the circle kind of helps us understand. I don't want to say consensus, but that's basically sort of an agreement. We believe these are our strengths, our assets. We believe these are going to be our barriers to this process, to doing this throughout the year.
One question, or there's all the data that's collected for each one of these goals, and if we were to lay the data out like right here, and we would have data from all our administrators, right?
Data about,
Per goal.
yes,
We would
about meetings. Is that?
About data and all that aligning to each goal.
It's a good question. So it would depend on the team in part. And we did see this as one of the factors in team efficacy. Let me explain. Some team members, their actual full-time job is really directly aligned to that goal. Does that make sense? And then other team members, other teams, it would be more, can I say, secondary to their normal day-to-day responsibilities. So I think if I understand your question correctly, you're wondering if we have data related to the impact of their goals, and that is not something that we have yet. I think some teams are likely collecting this. How do I say? It's difficult to ascertain the degree of World Lakota exposure across the district. It's not as difficult to ascertain improving student test scores. We probably have some devices, some means for tracking that in real time. So the data, I think I'm answering the question. The data is good from some teams. The data is leaving a little bit to be desired on other teams. But I think it's the nature of the goal itself that kind of dictates what we have available.
And I have shared the reports, the admin reports that you guys get with Dan, and he's gleaned something from, those reports over time too. So we probably haven't looked at that as closely, but, I really view Dan as helping in the accountability piece, and that, we understand that those are the vision, mission, and goals of Todd County, and that we need to continue working on them and being reminded of them, so that, you don't just visit them once a year and, oh, yeah, that is, so that's kind of, and I really appreciate, Dan's, the coordinator of those meetings and the facilitator of those, so that really helps a lot.
Thanks,
Greatly
Carol.
appreciate.
Yeah. It is a different thing when someone's like, hey, I'm sorry, but can we talk about that goal that we set up last Can we talk about, we set up some objectives for quarter one? It's very different from me just disappearing, showing up next year and saying, what happened? What happened at what happened during the school year? So that's the hope, that we are in real time throughout the school year working to address these powerful research-based district goals you guys have set up.
That's why I like reading the reports that we get from the administrators, because it addresses every one of those
Right.
goals.
Yeah,
So there's our data right there.
Yeah, it's really been a work in progress, and, you know, having those conversations and saying, well, those are our goals, that's what we need to report on, and I think that helped clarify it for the, you know, administration as well, along with providing that data on, you know,
Right.
what you're doing. And just a conscious effort, you know, like, oh yeah, we are doing partnerships, we do, you know, so.
I think one of the other elements of it is that when we sit down to have conversations with the teams, people can say like, oh, geez, I heard this amazing thing this team is doing. Oh, geez, I've never heard of that. Like, do we have any information on its impact? Is this working? Are kids responding to it? So how do I say, it keeps the conversation at a high level, and I think it keeps people in the loop of their processes and these different activities and team discussions that they have. We used to focus all of the conversation on the board report. But what we found out is that it wasn't necessarily telling the whole story. And so we wanted to go past the board report and say, all right, let's talk about these programs, the impacts of these things, how they're going, and what I can do to support you. Melissa, how am I on my 10 minutes?
You're good.
I'm good. Do you guys have any questions, last call for questions from me? I do, Carol and I email regularly. If you have any individual questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email, dhenry@ty.net. I actually pictured this room with I thought all my team, all of the team members were gonna be here. So I was gonna do some scheduling before, anyway. I'll follow up with them this week, next week, but that's it, that's all I have. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Dan,
Thank you,
for
Dan.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can take some of the snow back with you.
Compared us to Lee Deadwood, I'm not sure I like
I know,
that.
that was maybe inappropriate, and I apologize. Well, Carol, in my defense, you started it. You said, we've got hills level snow. And I was like, Carol, you've got Lee Deadwood level snow.
We got a lot of
You got a
snow.
lot of snow.
Right.
Feel free to take some, we'll let you have it, as much as you want. All the trucks in, load it up and take it.
Moving on, Carol, the rest of your report.
Okay, so with your information, I included a few things. It seems like it's been forever since we've gone through everything, but first of all, I want to thank everyone who helped with the snow removal. I mean, it was just, there's nothing to compare it to. You know, and the rescuing that went on, and the 3 different storms that came through, and each bringing their own different challenges. So we had so many people that stepped up and did just wonderful things, and I'm sure we're going to hear more as we get together more. So special thank you to everyone who helped. There was a couple of thank yous for the Christmas bonus. From Achieve, Klein, Oak Creek, Littleburg staff, and then TCA sent a thank you card. So just so you know that you're thinking of them during the holidays was greatly appreciated. I was reached out to over the break and asked if our Todd County counseling staff could assist Sapaun with the loss of one of their students and helping their staff with how to support students and families. So again, just wonderful staff, willing to help, try to coordinate that through, you know, difficult weather as well. So, and I wanted to give our partners of parentguidance.org we asked if we could use them as a resource as well, and they were more than willing. So this was the flyer that they shared, so that the Sapaun community has resources as well. It's not just for us. So I thought that was wonderful and a great idea. So I met with the nurses on Tuesday, and it's so nice to have a full staff of 4 nurses, trying to get everything put together, our Rosebud nurse's office, having all the supplies and everything that's needed, and just watching them coordinate and be an effective team was just fun. So the meeting was very productive. They did e-care training on November 30th, and the one thing that we have left, they said it went very well, was the opt-out. So if you don't want your child getting e-care services, you sign an opt-out form. So that was one thing they needed to get up and on the website. They're working on immunization records, and they kind of left that, like Roxy and Bobby are doing that because they had a healthy start on that. They're working on setting up a clinic for flu shots and booster shots. And that they were trying for next week. I haven't heard officially if they've got that figured out. They also wanted stuff on the website. So we moved from COVID to, we put the nurses under the departments. And so they are found there on health information. So if you need that kind of information, that's where you will find that. And then we talked about mandatory videos, videos that everybody has to watch or should watch. And the first one was the hand compression only for CPR. And we're going to have admin incorporate that into the in-service on Friday. It's like a 5-minute video. Also, the EpiPen is something they're working on, and the AED machines. So people know where they are. You don't have to know how to use them because you can call 911, but we do want you to know where they're at so that if there is a situation, you can find them. We're actually looking at ordering a couple more so we have the appropriate ones. So you don't have to take one to the football field and then there's not one inside. So just super impressed with the nurses and everything that they're doing and being very thorough about. So it's fun. Calendar committee, we had 5 different meetings scheduled before we actually got to meet. So we had one meeting last Thursday and had some good ideas, good conversation. We're going to try and meet again on Thursday. So the end of the 9 weeks and semester was moved to January 12th, this Thursday. And on Thursday, we will dismiss school at noon at 12 o'clock in honor of Harry DeBray and his funeral being at 2, so the bus driving staff can get back and attend Harry's funeral. And that is at the Bishop Harold Jones building. So we will get that out, do the PSA, and make sure everybody's aware of that. There's still free online tutoring available from the Dakota Dreams online tutoring program at the state. We have that up on the website. The Cook Center is doing their next webinar on child's anxiety and depression on Wednesday night. We just sent out a text and email all call, and then we're going to try sending a all call out Wednesday to remind people to sign up and participate in that. They're really, really good. Again, Mission Games are April 26th, if we can find the track field by then, so hopefully. In your packet, there's more from the Cook Center, Achieving Balance. It's their January newsletter for Take Control of Your Life this new year. which I think Mother Nature kind of started us off on in a different direction. And then there's the 2 flyers for the series of your child's anxiety and depression. And it just seems like it's a good fit for, you know, not being in school again 3 weeks. They might have some need for that, and it's a great resource for parents. And then the last part of your packet is the reports. And the very last page is contact hours. The middle school is short, but at this time, I think we'll be okay. If we have more, we might have to look at adding minutes to the end of the day. So, hopefully, we will have no more.
That's a big hope.
So even with all these days that we missed, we're okay?
No, they're short, like 12 hours.
Oh, okay.
So, but,
The
you know,
middle school.
middle
is
school,
short,
yeah.
12 hours.
high school is right on target. But, yeah, so if we have any more episodes like we've had, we'll need to meet and probably extend the school day and make a motion to extend that so we can make up that time instead of adding days at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I guess if you could find out, are our cheerleaders, because I got a question from parents and cheerleaders, they're not allowed to go to away games? Can you find out why, or if that is what's going on with that?
The only thing I do know is it might be due to a driver's license. Would be the only thing I know. I don't know, like if they would take small buses, I could see that being a concern, but if they take the bigger bus, it should not, but I will check.
Okay, and then, just also, because I emailed you during the storms, because I watched where I live in my apartment building. And I even had a picture of it. Just a reminder, especially to our staff who might not be from the area, when they say it's a storm, whether big or small, prepare. And when they say stay home, please stay home. Do not get on the road. Do not try and go uptown. I watched one of our teachers while one of the bus shop guys was going, and I mean the drift was unimaginably high, and he was going with the snow blower and the bobcat and making a path there by the football field. And I don't know, but this teacher comes along and starts following it, and at the end of the block is like a snowdrift this high because they had cleared the BIA out and it had left it there. And I thought, where do you think you're going? Because the snow blower is going to hit this big drift, and you're behind the bobcats. It's dangerous to the operator of the machinery, but it's also dangerous to the car driver, and that's why they say stay home. So, you know, subscribe to Netflix, get crossword puzzles, get your favorite junk food, whatever, but just kind of enjoy your time and stay home for the safety of everybody. Just a friendly reminder, please.
Well, and we had enough people that needed to be rescued. We don't need to add to that.
Well, and then I saw like during the windblown thing, we had 2 of them get stuck right there, and then people have to go out and rescue them and put their lives at danger when if they would have, and there was no place to go, nothing was open, so I guess I couldn't understand. Where do you think you're going? You ain't going nowhere. And nothing's open, so you're not getting a taco and you're not getting your hot Cheetos. Stay home.
There were calls in the middle of the night, you know, from people wanting to move people from one community to another community because there was no power and all that. So we had to deal with a number of things in regards to that. So I mean, you know, I reiterate what Melissa says because, you know, I mean, this was...
It was terrible, the worst we've had in years.
It was.
Right?
Well, when we were talking about that, my first thing was like, do you have equipment to make sure they can get where you want them to go? Because we don't need more people stuck out there, and the liability and the concern for individual safety,
You know,
so.
buy some candles, buy a kerosene heater if you wanna invest in it. I mean, buy some things because
I mean, it was,
winter
it
in
was,
South Dakota is not nice. I've been in South Dakota my whole life and it is not nice.
it was so unreal getting those calls. It was like, almost like it was somebody, like it was bogus or something like.
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
You're kidding me, and it's like, who is this? And I didn't know the people that were calling me, and it's like, so then I said, I'll call you back, so then I
yeah.
mean, it was, I mean, thank God it wasn't any worse than it was.
Right.
And kudos to the snow removal people, and just
Yes.
everybody that, you know, jumped in and helped.
Mhm.
It was,
There was a lot of, let me tell you, you would not believe the first round when they did by the football field. Oh my good Lord, I was like, whoa. I didn't realize it was that deep out there till they started
No, it's
trying to
like
make a
Brenda said,
pathway.
We haven't seen this, I don't know if I've ever seen this. If
In
I
the
did, it was
seventies,
really
we had
little.
it.
We had it in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, we had it in the seventies.
I remember going to games and the pushed-out drifts would be as high as the bus. That was,
No,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
seventies was bad here.
so,
do we have
good
any,
reminder.
do we have any questions for Carol in regards to her report?
No.
Can I ask you, are you here to,
I'm just from the fire department. They said they have a public session, maybe speak for a couple minutes, so I just want, that's what somebody told me, so if so, I will. If not, I'll come back on an agenda. I just had a couple things. I wanted to say thanks for allowing us to use the Suburbans and stuff, so.
so you're the person that was
I'm not the one
called?
that made the call, but I was the one in charge of the situation, trying to evacuate people. So, if you want me to talk, I can talk real quick and just explain what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yes,
Fine.
please, it's in regards
So,
to,
yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I know it's, most people don't get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever, to get phone calls, but, you know, the fire department, that's kind of been our backup plan, is knowing the school has mass transportation, you know, if something bad happens, and so, that was what we ended up using, was your guys' Suburbans to transport all the people out of one of the Sunrise apartments. Ended up being just one apartment. It was supposed to have been 2. Cherry Todd was saying it was gonna be 2 buildings that went down. It ended up being 1, which helped out a lot, half the people. But yeah, we moved them from Sunrise out to the A&L Community Building so they were safe. Moving that many people at 2 o'clock in the morning at 50 below zero was
in a
just
blizzard.
miserable. It was
And a blizzard.
absolutely- Yeah, it was absolutely miserable. So thank you for making that possible. The other thing I had real quick is, I've got several guys on my fire department that work for the school district, and I'm not here to try to make a fuss, I just like to make you aware, see if we can fix it. Part of the problem I'm having is there's a state statute says they should be able to leave if they can. I realize sometimes there's times they can't, but they're having to take PTO time off to be able to go to emergencies, which is contrary to state statute. And so, like, perfect example was Friday, I had a car wreck in Rosebud, and I had 2 people trapped. I go en route in my vehicle, knowing that I have other people that could come. They were not able to come. Took them 19 minutes to get out of the station. I had people trapped in the cars, and I didn't have all the equipment. I mean, I have a little bit in my truck, but our big truck carries all that. And so, it was just asked of me if I would come talk to the board and see if there's something we could do to maybe fix some of that. I had firefighters, and I realize you guys have your business you gotta do, but, you know, I've had 3 calls. I was hoping Michelle would be here because, Michelle Allen?
She's on the phone.
Okay. She was actually at that fire, but there was a fire just north of the White River Junction. I couldn't get any of the guys that were in the school to go to that until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was all the way at Carter. I was riding across from the bar headed to a funeral in Winter, and we get called for that fire. If these guys could have got there, they could have stopped the house. We ended up losing the majority of the house, the whole roof and everything was gone. It started on the porch. They had to climb out the windows and all that. I had people literally here that couldn't get out, and I had to drive all the way from Carter. I was still the first one. And it's not just these guys. I got guys in construction, different areas of town, so you know, it happens. But just wondering if there might not be a way the board would kind of make some allowance for that and see what we can do. So,
Are these certified teachers?
Some are.
Some are.
Summer.
Yeah, that's
But
how-
but it's in state statute.
Yes, and I've got, I only printed 3 copies, I was actually somewhere else right before this meeting, but state statute 55.946 basically says fire suppression or ambulance service, and an employee who is a member of a volunteer fire department or ambulance service is not required to use leave for fire suppression or ambulance service if the service is performed within the volunteer's normal response area, et cetera, et cetera. The absence is considered administrative leave for payroll purposes.
Can you make sure our
grab it.
superintendent has a copy of that? And then maybe she
And
can
you can look it
address
up.
it with her administration?
And sometimes from what I'm hearing is they're getting grief from their supervisors because they're needing to leave. And I understand, they got a job, it's balance, and I'm not trying to, you know.
It's balanced, but it's also, some of these are life or death
Exactly.
emergencies too.
That-
That could make a difference
I
in
was
somebody's
there,
life or
You
death.
know, I didn't think I could get the lady out. I mean, she was trapped pretty good. And fortunately, we were able to get her out. But if I'd had to wait 19 minutes plus their travel time to get to Rosebud, you're talking 30 minutes. And the ambulance service was calling me, and they were pretty desperate because they couldn't get them out. And so, yeah. And then I had a fire. I actually got hurt, or I almost got hurt. I fell through the floor and called it Mayday. You might have seen it on the news. It was kind of a big splash for a little bit. But I had guys that were at school that could have been at that fire. You know, I'm not talking like we have it every day, but when it happens, we can't be talking for 20 minutes to figure out a
Yeah.
plan. We need to, you know, and I realize you guys got a business to run too. You can't just drop and go, but somewhere in between if you can. And I'd be willing to come back and bring data, or, I mean, I did some call data of how many calls we have between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., you know, because if we have a fire at 6 o'clock, if your teachers have to be at school at 7:30, 7:40, they can't go to the fire, get back, you know, so we could just come up with some kind of plan. I mean, it's nice that we have teachers here because it keeps them local, you know, plus they're an asset if you have calls here. You know, I've had them clear fire alarm calls and different stuff to save us from running trucks out. So I think they're a benefit to you guys. Plus 2 of my guys that are school teachers are actually taking their EMS class starting Thursday night or something, I don't know, here soon. And so you'll have a couple EMTs that are certified. So that, you know, there's stuff that I think we're providing enough to have some give and take. So and if there's any question, I have fire reports, and so like, you know, if there was ever a question, well, did they go and then just wander around town for 3 hours? You know, I can give times and stuff to know. You know, I don't think you had that I don't think we have either.
No, I don't
Certainly
think we
something
would
like
have that
this, I
one.
mean, and like,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I have. So, if you guys have any questions, I can give you my phone number if you want to call me later. I'll work with Chad a little bit on some stuff. 605-840-2987. And it's Keith Lavery, Lavery. So.
We appreciate you coming in.
Thank
very
you.
Not a
much.
problem. Thank you guys for
Thank
letting me
you.
know the other night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Keith. Thanks,
Thanks,
Keith.
Michelle. If you guys ever have extra money, just let us know. We'll come help you out.
Next, we have elementary participation report.
Okay, and that's collected, you know, every semester, and it's in your packet there. Wanda collects that information, so,
I haven't seen one of these in a while.
no, it's in your
I know, I've seen it
board
now. I'm
packet.
saying I haven't seen it
Oh,
lately,
oh, okay.
so it's good to have it.
Yeah. We look really busy.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just do it for elementary, I know.
Yes.
Thank you. 7-1 consent agenda,
Move.
Second.
moved by Melissa. Second by Linda. All in favor?
Yes.
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 5-0. 7-2, set date for school board election.
It's at the very back of your packet that I printed out for you guys.
June 6th, right?
June 6th. I'll make a motion to set the election for June 6th.
A second.
June 6th. Motion by Melissa, second by Linda. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 5-0. 7-3, extend the date for recommendation of calendar committee.
Okay, can I say a few words before we do this?
Yes.
We had 4 or 5 meetings scheduled for the calendar committee, and then it would storm, or it would snow, or the roads would be icy, so we didn't get to meet. And we're working on a lot of things, and we really want to make sure that we get some community input, we get parent input, student input, and staff input. Because one of the ideas that has came up that we're looking at is a 4-day school week. And then taking the current calendar we have now and tweaking that and adding in more professional development days, or going with the 4-day. So we haven't been able to meet as much. So I know this affects like budget and it affects everything, and it could come before then, but I would ask the board, due to whether that we had no control over, because we didn't get December, we didn't get nothing, that if we could extend it to the first meeting in March, and it may come at the end of February, it may come at a special meeting, because it almost might need a special meeting depending on what the calendar turns out to look like. If we could set the date for that first meeting in March to give us the time.
When do we typically approve the calendars in March?
For the first meeting in February.
1st of February?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look here to see what the first
It's the
meeting.
March 6th.
13th.
Is it 13?
Or do we move it because of NAPUS?
We moved it because NAFIS is that
Okay.
week,
So it's when, the 6th?
the 6th.
Okay.
First meeting in March.
Yep.
I'll move.
One second.
Moved by Linda, second by Sage. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
So is there gonna be surveys going out, Melissa?
Yes, there's going to be some surveys going out. We're meeting on Thursday from 12:30 to 1:30 to finalize the surveys that are going to go out to people. And we talked about doing paper surveys, online surveys, working with Lita to get it out into the communities, to make that connection with our different community chairmen, and get it out there so that we can get more and more input, to make an informed decision on what's the best route to go.
Good.
Sounds like a plan.
Good plan.
I do have an executive session over that email we got. Is that okay?
Yeah, I got executive session on.
Could we take
Is it personnel?
Yes,
Yeah.
personnel.
personnel?
We will have executive session for personnel. A quick bathroom break.
Thank you.
I see you looking at me some kind of way.
I take a water pill, and for whatever reason, I take it in the morning and it doesn't kick in till
Meeting
now,
time.
evening time.